So I recorded a video yesterday, but as is pretty common where I live, there was a thunderstorm, and as I was driving, pretty sure my voice was pretty well drowned out by the rain that came down. So I figured I'll just record a new one today, fresh start. I don't think I'll have that much problem with the weather. I wanted to talk about some Star Trek. I mentioned in my initial video that that's a big influence of mine. Ever since I was a little kid, I've loved Star Trek. I remember watching The Next Generation like every week when it came out with my family. Watching the original movies. My grandmother had like the whole VHS set of the original 6 films, where the sides of the VHS boxes, when all put together, made the image of the Enterprise flying at you. It was the coolest thing. I was just sitting there like playing with it and staring at it all the time. I had the micro machines. Still love those things and still want to go back and buy a bunch of them to collect and display. I loved my micro machine starships. I still think that they're some of the best toy ships that have ever been made for Star Trek or anything. The Excelsior was my favorite of them. The Romulan Warbird, I loved that thing, but the warp nacelle on the Excelsior got broken off, and I was never able to really fix it. Well, obviously, I lost almost all of it over time. So the only thing I still have left somewhere, I have a shuttlecraft, an Enterprise shuttlecraft, which I'm glad I have that at least. But yeah, anyways, I actually have a whole bunch of Star Trek memorabilia and toy ships and things like that. So anyway, that's my favorite sci-fi franchise until lately. I did love the J.J. Abrams films. I'm not with the group of Trekkies that were against those. I honestly felt like they were a really good return to the core of what Star Trek was, especially the original Star Trek. It had a lot of fun adventure, and it was good like sci-fi action adventure films. And I felt like they got the cast right for sure. Chris Pine made a really good Kirk. Zachary Quinto made an excellent Spock, and much better than the new Spock that was cast in Discovery, but we'll get to that. And then, of course, the entire rest of the cast was really great as well. Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy was easily the best in the cast. Perfect. But yeah, those were really cool movies. They even did this cool thing at the beginning of each of them that felt like it was like a little episode, of the show, and then now we're moving into the big adventure. You had obviously the Kelvin incident at the beginning of the first film, but it still felt like an episode, and then moved on. And then you had the adventure to what was it called? It's supposed to be like a joke on the name for what would be like a Planet X, if I remember right. Nirabu or something like that. I can't remember. Anyways, felt like a little episodic adventure to start off the movie. And then you had Star Trek Beyond, where he was at some alien planet trying to talk with these weird little aliens, and they all attacked him and stuff. Anyways, I thought they did a really good job of establishing that, hey, they have these weird adventures that are going on in the background, and then here's the big stuff that's going on. That's why we're making it. They got the heart and soul of the characters, and they got the fun of it. So, good movies. Really like them. I actually feel like they're probably the best series of Star Trek films that's been made. But everyone has their own opinion, that's fine. So then we come to Star Trek Discovery. Wasn't super enthused about the concept from the beginning because, yet again, it was another prequel, and people are pretty tired of prequels. And then it comes out that Sonequa Martin Green was going to be the lead character. And when they first announced, I thought, okay, she's going to be the captain. That's cool. I had really, really gotten into The Walking Dead recently. And I was like, alright, she's a good actress. She'll be good for the role. That'll be cool. She'll make a good captain. And then more and more started to come out about the show and what it was going to be like and what it was going to be about. And aside from just canon issues, which wham, we don't care about canon, but I'm sorry, it's important when you have a 50-year-long franchise with an established universe that follows certain rules that make that show fit within that universe. If you don't want to, you do what Abrams did, and you create an alternate timeline where you're free to do as you want. He was very careful not to, and obviously some people still were, but like not to offend the fan base in the sense of like rewriting over what they'd known for 50 years. Discovery goes back to those really weird stuff that just has no place in the universe, no place in the time. But beyond all that, before the show ever comes out, you start having the cast like talk about essentially how they don't like Star Trek, they don't like the fans of Star Trek, they want to change everything, they want this to be something that riles up and upsets the fan base. And you're sitting going, what the hell is wrong with you? You've got millions of people that are craving a Star Trek TV show since Enterprise in 2005, and many people didn't like that show, and that was actually a pretty darn good Star Trek. And they're basically slapping them all in the face saying, hey, you know what? You'll take it or you won't. Take it or leave it. And we're going to sit here and basically spit in your face the whole time, telling you about how shitty fandom is and how we don't care about the franchise that you do, and that we're going to make a show in that franchise specifically to go against your expectations. They make some dumb moves. The cast says some stupid stuff, and then as it goes on, you start hearing more SJW speak out. And so by the time the show comes out, many fans, many normal people, not even conservatives or whatever, but just like normal fans of Star Trek are like, what is this supposed to be, and who is it even supposed to be for? Because you obviously don't like us. And then the agenda stuff, Star Trek has never been about elevating one group above another, or elevating one group at the expense of another. It's always been about cooperation and connection and communication and learning about each other and trying to make a peace and learn without offense, without putting someone down. And that's basically what Discovery does. There's entire, YouTube reels of the instances in Discovery where to make the female characters look strong and in command and capable, they show how they're putting down a male character, or how the male character is made to look stupid and ineffective. These things just don't fly. That's not what Star Trek's about. And then you have the case of Short Trek, and it's rather a shame because they had Rosa Salazar, who's the girl who played Olivia in the Battle Angel, and they're like, oh cool, she'll be in one. Maybe that'll be good. No, she plays the captain of a ship who treats a subordinate with the Tribble incident completely unfairly, like he's a garbage human being, like he's stupid, but he's in fact highly intelligent. And these are Starfleet officers. The guy's kind of eccentric and weird. But that, again, you look back at Star Trek The Next Generation and how the crew there, how Picard and company handled Barclay. And it's a direct parallel. And it's so different. It's sad to see what Star Trek has evolved to under Alex Kurtzman. Which is really weird because Alex Kurtzman was one of the writers of the JJ films. So either Abrams kept him in line for those movies, or his partner Robert Orci at the time did most of the good writing. I don't know. But something happened when he became in charge of Star Trek. He turned into something idiotic. He had so many problems with Discovery. And then you have Star Trek Picard, where it's not even just the SJW stuff, but horrible storytelling and a ruination of one of the legendary characters of Star Trek, making him completely impotent and seemingly senile. He's supposed to be like Red Letter Media stamina of a guy who's like 115 or something like that. It's insane how they're like play up his age so much when he's really in the Star Trek universe. He's really not that old. Hell, even in real life, Patrick Stewart is not that feeble. He's not that feeble-minded. This is a character of extremely strong constitution and moral character, and yet he's being made to be silly and out of place. And I know that there's some things that happen in the universe, but even that, like the events of the way they wasted really good opportunities for storytelling with the whole Romulus incident that was set up in Star Trek 2009 by J.J. Abrams. I liked that whole concept and where it could have gone, and had all kinds of thought, oh cool, this is going to be the Prime Universe post Supernova, post Romulus destruction. Now, from the way that Pike and company was portrayed and the way they acted and the way that they finished their arc and set them up at the end of Discovery Season 2. And from what they've said about returning to a more episodic type of storytelling, about hope and optimism and all these different things, like a classic Trek, as they said in the teaser for it, the announcement teaser. I have a little bit of hope that maybe this show could get things back on track. That we could just disregard Discovery and Picard and be like, good, here is like the new Star Trek for Star Trek fans. I don't know who this other shit's for, but I love the way that bridge looks, the interior of the Enterprise looks. I love the way that Mount plays Pike and takes command of the situation. And he's like the stand-up Starfleet captain. He is the Federation. That like I love the way that they portrayed it. So a glimmer of hope there that Star Trek Strange New Worlds could actually be really good. It's another prequel, so somewhat disappointing, but it's what we got, and there is some unexplored territory in the era before Kirk took command of the Enterprise. It's always been talked about, and I'm sure there's some really cool exploration and discoveries that happen in that era, so it could actually be really fun. It could be really good. You could get a good Star Trek show. That would be great. You guys get like new toys, models, all that kind of stuff. It would be really cool because I don't know. I feel like the current Star Trek is so bleak that like they haven't even tried to sell anything based on it. Like there's not even toys or models per se, like of the Discovery and the Shinzo or whatever this shape. I don't know, the Riker ship, which when the Abrams films came out, at least we got that. At least we got marketing and fun stuff. We had the Mattel Hot Wheels starships. They had all kinds of cool stuff out there. Action figures. It was like, hey, we're going to do this right. Nothing so far. But I think because they don't have a product they believe in. They have a product they know that nobody's actually sticking around and watching. So who would they even sell the stuff to? So if you get Strange New Worlds comes out, if it's successful, if fans are actually enthusiastic about it, we might actually get marketing, we might actually get toys and games and models and all that fun stuff again, so that we can actually be excited about Star Trek. So we'll have to see, but I just want to put that out there. Where I stand with Star Trek. I'm 31 years old, going on 32, and I spent my entire life like a fan of Star Trek. Even with the ups and downs it's had. And I just don't accept that what we currently have is the best we can get. So it would be really nice to see something a little bit better come out of it before it's so bad that CBS shuts it back down again. We don't have more Star Trek. So, anyways, thanks for watching. If you like this, please hit the like button, comment, let me know what you think about all this. Maybe disagree, which is perfectly fine, which is completely civil. I would like to discuss these things as fans, not as enemies.